Welcome, welcome. It is The Office, brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personal Management of Nigeria and Lagos Talks 91.3. As you know, CIPM delivers value through people. And basically, this segment will shed light on the problem statement, which we will be sharing soon, and the HR pattern being designed and positioned to solve them. My guest today, as you know, we always bring you amazing guests, and this, just like every other guest, is an outstanding individual who is an author, a boardroom strategist, an HR expert, personal psychologist, a trainer, mentor, executive coach, social reconstructionist, public analyst, conference speaker, corporate governance and ethics lecturer, and guess what? A pastor as well. Now, he's the MD CEO of ONP Consult and independent non-executive board director for Nimbus Media. He served on the boards of AAAN and Body of Fellows of the ISMN Chartered, the executive management of member of the Chartered Institute of Personal sorry, I mixed it up there. The executive management of the Trocar Holdings and Insight Communications, Oyo State, NUJ Council, and also is presently a serving elected council member of the Chartered Institute of Personal Management of Nigeria. My guest has over 3 decades of professional experience in the public and private sector, local and international. My guest today is Mr. Olakanmi Amoo-Onidundu. He is an author. He's the elected council member of the Chartered Institute of Personal Management of Nigeria. Welcome to The Office, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. It's a privilege being here with you.
I am so excited that you could join us today. It's a pleasure to have you join us, sir.
Same here.
Yes. Now, our topic is very, very important to who you are and what you have been doing for years. And that makes you the right candidate, or sorry, the right person, the right guest to have on the show today to talk to us about corporate governance, especially in the workplace. I'd like to understand, because we usually will see corporate governance everywhere. As a matter of fact, when I was at school, I did a course on corporate governance. It was a very, very interesting course. And today we are going to take the conversation further, but for the benefit of those who are listening to us, I'm sure they would love to understand from your point of view as a practitioner now, not as a lecturer, what is corporate governance? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Go ahead.
I think we should go off the video.
So that's fine. Sure. That's fine.
All right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just open the brochure topic. Corporate governance, based on the Cadbury report for 1992, is simply a system by which companies are directed and controlled. So you will see that corporate governance over the years have focused majorly on the private sector. It doesn't mean that there's no extension even of corporate governance even to the public sector, which we will discuss as we go on. So I will therefore discuss it as clearly defined and effectively enforceable definitions of governing responsibilities, accountabilities, structures, rules, regulations, and rights of all stakeholders in an organization, as well as even the ethical, social impact of all the activities of the stakeholders. So don't forget, governing responsibilities, accountabilities, structures, rules, regulations, and the rights of everyone, and how these affect also, the environment in which they play in, which is the social and environmental impact. This will be it. So the analogy, if you want to think clearly of what corporate governance is, just look at the human skeleton.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
It's the anchor upon which everything holds. If the skeleton is not there, the flesh will not be able to hold. It will fall down flat. Mm-hmm. And that's what corporate governance, does. And that's why you find that, in most MSMEs where corporate governance is lacking or not adequate enough, you find it difficult to find a second generation, even owner company. In most cases, they die at the first generation because of this lack of skeleton, which I call the corporate governance. And this is so critical. It's so critical, because the checks and balances and all the wherewithal systems to ensure that it is transferred to the next generation is often not there. So it dies with the owners, Mm-hmm. And, with adequate corporate governance in place, that is why the owners of the business can go to sleep, because there are systems, procedures, rules, and regulations that will drive the organization without them being there. Their interest is protected. The interest of management is protected. The interest of the employees are protected. The interest of the financiers, long-term financiers, particularly the bankers, are protected. The interest of the government and community are protected. That is where corporate governance, is in place. It's so critical, and the HR person has a lot to do with this. As I will go on, as we interact, and I will show you how the HR plays a lot of role about this. Both internally and also, even as affect indirectly also externally.
All right. Thank you so much. I'd just like to know now what exactly is important to have clearly defined. Why is it important to have clearly defined corporate governance structure in a workplace? Why is it so important? Yeah.
Okay. This is germane, because number one, without corporate governance, there won't be accountability and transparency. All right. So you won't know who to hold responsible. And this is one of the core pillars of corporate governance. Okay. Where there is clear accountability, where there is clear, transparency in terms of even reporting, in terms of, the rules and regulation, nothing is hidden. It's only in this part of the world you find that, for instance, the salaries of those, at the top and all that are not known. It's in the public domain. Everyone knows. Just check Google online, for instance, the Google CEO, what is his salary? You will find it online. Google online, even, some multinationals in Nigeria, Google online, you find that you can find their CEOs in all the salary structure of the executives online. Everything is clear. So accountability and transparency will suffer. Likewise, the interest of the stakeholders, will not be fairly treated. It will not be protected. The interest of, don't forget, what the shareholders do is that they vest their investment and their powers onto the management of the company.
Okay.
And they appoint one of them, who they call the managing director, CEO, to be, their representative in the company, along with other managers of the company. So, if there is no adequate corporate governance, there won't be a way in which their interests will be protected, because there are no clear guidelines, there are no clear instructions, there are no clear systems, no clear rules. Likewise, the risk management even will be subpar. And don't forget that, for the investors, the owners of the business per se, they are only balancing between risk and profit. It's almost a blind guess when an investor wants to invest. They only look at what even the management of the company puts out there as the performance. They are not in there. So if there are no corporate governance structures that ensure even that there is transparency, that true and fair representative statement of the company is put out there, then the investors will have been hoodwinked and be tricked to invest into a company that is not really representing what is on the books. So it will be difficult, therefore, to attract even future investors, and even to attract even other stakeholders, like even great talents. That's where HR comes in. When there's no transparency, where everything that is being done is not true and fair representative statement. How would even the employer brand even be promoted to attract the great talents to join the company? And there are several compliance and legal requirements also by CSC, by SEC, that you should be in place. So this will be compromised if this doesn't happen. Okay, effective decision making will be difficult without this and several other things. Maybe I will allow you also to have one or two prompters, and I will go on.
All right, thank you so much. Now, is there a best practice, or is this corporate governance structure in the workplace, when it comes to that, is there a best practice, or is it one size fits all for governance structure? I'm speaking about this because there are people who are listening who now understand what corporate governance is, and they're looking to adapt or establish that in their organization, and they might be wondering if they have to also take into consideration the type of organization that they're running. Welcome back.
Hello.
Yes, welcome back. Sorry about that. Can you hear
Hello,
me?
are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? All right, we're currently experiencing some technical difficulty, but we'll be right back. It's still the office. It's Lagos Talks 91.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me, please? Please, can you hear me? Hello?
00
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
555.
I can hear you, clear. I can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Then
I can hear you.
All right, we'll start soon. We're on a break.
Okay. Right.
Football game in London live with my brother. And then I went to bed watching the world from space. And you, Grandma?
That's a lot. How?
All I needed was my phone, laptop, TV, and Airtel's 5G.
Lag-free gaming, hyper-realistic VR, 8K streaming, and so much more. With Airtel 5G's lightning-fast speeds and seamless connectivity,
Hello?
you won't believe what's next. Live the future.
The guy know that he never give you key.
zone. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Wait.
18 million people finally have a voice. Is Lagos Talks 91.3. Join the conversation on the most relevant issues affecting the workplace, as well as the human resource patterns being positioned to solve them on The Office. Get notifications on available job listings and advice on how to apply from featured experts in the industry every Thursday from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Only on Lagos Talks 91.3.
Welcome back. It's still the office on Lagos Talks 91.3. Mr. Olakanmi, welcome back. The conversation.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, before the break, I was just asking a question about whether or not corporate governance is there some best practice to it, or is a one-size-fits-all governance structure? How does it really work?
Okay. Well, there is no exact one-size-fits-all, employed by, all companies or organizations, all over the world, because it depends on the size. It depends on sometimes even the industry, the ownership structure. Is it more of owner managed or owner managed plus employed managers? Sometimes it's also dependent on the corporate culture, and also the regulatory environment in which these organizations or these companies operate. So there is no one size fits all, but there are some commonalities you must understand. Okay, and these commonalities, I would say, are also based on what we call the 4 Ps, or the 4 print philosophies of corporate governance.
Okay.
One commonality is it has to do with it's people focused. That's the first P. Okay, and in terms of the people, there must be put in place clarity of responsibility and accountability to all stakeholders in terms of their rights, their privileges, in terms of obligations and duties. Indeed, one of my friends, Olakanmi, calls it the broad principle. It must clearly, delineate what is the privileges, the rights, the obligations, and the duties of all the stakeholders. So look, there are no cross paths. All right. Then the second P has to do with the purpose. In every corporate governance structure, there must be clarity of purpose, and this is, in most cases, enunciated by the board and the top management. We, and using the VMOS model, the vision, the mission, the objective, the strategy, and also even the targets of the organization. It must be clear to us, to all. This must be transparently clear to everyone, so that everyone moves in the same direction. The third P has to be process itself. Okay, this is common to, a commonality to every organization, whether you're small, you're big, and want to employ corporate governance. The process, it must be there must be a structured board system. Okay, and I said this is one of the reasons why, medium, scale enterprises in our own land and climate, in most cases, die before the first 5 years, and many don't make it to the second generation because of the issue of the process. All right, there are no structured boards, there are no structured committees and all that. Fairness, transparency, risk management, rules and regulations are not put in place. To help monitor, to help control, to help direct. Don't forget, direction and control really is all about corporate governance. Likewise, the last P is the performance framework for assessing performance. Clearly, framework that addresses what we call the triple P performance: the profit, the people, and the planet. Okay, another model we can use is the ESG. Okay, the environment, the social, and the governance. Where there are no frameworks like that, that addresses ethical issues, and value issues, you'll find that corporate governance will suffer in such an organization. So these are generally the 4 things that you look at, that borders on board composition.
All right, thank you. So what advice do you have for organizations that are currently struggling with establishing
committees, borders on transparency of the philosophies of corporate governance? Yeah, it helps. Yes, it helps you to understand, if there will be difference between organizations, okay, it will just be because of culture, because of the size, and because of the environment in which they take place.
All right, thank you. What advice do you have for organizations struggling with establishing their corporate governance structure? What advice would you give to them?
The first thing is you must understand your needs.
Understand your needs, number one.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, please, I will tell particularly MSMEs, seek expert guidance.
Okay.
All right. And look at the third thing will be, you might benchmark with peers who are doing well. Okay, in terms of corporate governance, and within your sector, within your industry, and within your kind of your competitive set. All right. Then please, particularly for owner-managed organizations, involve other stakeholders. They may have better ideas, even beyond you, to help because corporate governance is all about sustainability. That is making the company or the organizations perform not only well now, but also into the future. Then set clear frameworks. Define your board composition. And if you're an owner manager, please run your business within the rules and regulations. Put yourself under even the control and direction of the laws you put in place. You can't be, the owner and the lord of all. Allow even the codes of conduct and ethics and the policies you put in place. And this is where HR comes in. The HR people are the people who are in charge, of putting, these rules, regulations together. When it is in place, please also obey it. This is very, very critical. Even as an owner manager, as a top management, let everyone obey this. Then monitor, evaluate, and adapt as you go because of the agility of the business environment in which we're in. All right, so this will be some of my advices for people, and continuous education as you go on. If you are an MSME, why not? For instance, I'm a member of the Institute of Directors. Why not join the Institute of Directors? Join, CIPM. These are organizations that can teach you even corporate money, corporate governance, and can help you. We have also corporate membership even at CIPM for organizations, and joining, such corporate membership, status can help you. Small organizations to help better manage even their governance structures. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. So you've mentioned HR numerous times. You said that this is where HR comes in. This is what HR.
Yes.
This is where HR comes in. So to be more specific, I want you to be direct this time and just tell us the role of HR in corporate governance. So what truly is that role that they feel in, or that is an objective for them to handle in corporate governance?
Okay. Don't forget, I started by giving an analogy of corporate governance as being a skeleton. Okay. It gives the backbone, the structure, the framework. In terms of the framework for business itself, HR is very crucial in designing the framework, in designing the job designs, in designing even the organogram, in designing in the rules and regulations that will guide the value structure, the culture. And so HR is very, very important, not only in designing, but also in ensuring that they manage the process. Okay, and several things that have to rule and regulations that are topical issues today, even including issues like diversity, inclusiveness, diversity, equity and inclusiveness, like sustainability, like the grievance procedure that helps even internal stakeholders to know what's their right, what their limit, what their boundaries, and how to cascade grievance. It is the HR that is in charge of this. Don't forget, if the organization must work very well, likewise, the internal system must be efficient. The issue of efficiency and effectiveness of functioning, so as to deliver even on the expectation of the owners of the business, the shareholders, the HR, managing this entire operating process of people will help deliver on that. So this is why HR is so critical. When today you hear about issues of toxicity in workplace, sexual harassment in workplace, terms and conditions not very clear, and all of these affect engagement, affect productivity, affect even people giving of themselves, even outside their job descriptions, even to doing their work. Indeed, what we call the RASKI model, where you delineate who is responsible for what, who is accountable for what, who is in the supporting role, who is to be informed, okay, and who is controlling. All of these things are on the table of the HR person. Okay, so it's very, very important whether the HR person is at the low level or the high level. Okay, they are people who are involved in effective and efficient running of the corporate governance structure of an organization. However, if the HR person is at the director level, at the board level, what happens is that they are much more able to influence even coming up, the initiation of this beyond just implementing. Okay, that's why HR should be brought to the table early. If they are people who really will manage skeletons so that do not go rotten, then bring them to the table so that they understand ab initio even what corporate governance focus the organization have. Don't forget, I said in terms of the process aspect of corporate governance, which has to be VMOS, the vision, the mission. The HR person must live and dream this thing, so as to be able even to pass it down and use it to guide and direct the entire operations of an organization. This is very, very important.
All right. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate corporate governance in SMEs today, and why?
Well, I made mention of it, earlier on, that majority of MSMEs, by statistics, they die. About 90% die within the first 5 years. And this has been attributable in most parts to the issue of lack of corporate governance. So if that is the case, within our land and client, therefore, I will say my rating on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, corporate governance is not more than 2 within our environment. If that is even being magnanimous, so to say. It's, because majority of what drive our economy is the MSMEs. And even about 90% of them, due to lack of corporate governance, die within the first 5 years. Yes, the environmental issues and several other things are there, but corporate governance has been fingered as the major reason why MSMEs die very early. And don't forget, MSMEs constitute, majority, about 70% even our economy also. So this is very, very important. About 2 out of 5.
All right. Okay. So any final words in general on corporate governance? Share with us.
Okay. All right. I will say, therefore, evaluating that there is a rarity of corporate governance structure in our eco-operating space, okay, within Nigeria. All right. I would say that several agencies, that have been charged with MSMEs in particular, should revisit the issue of corporate governance. All right, we should encourage a whole lot more, of MSMEs to be transparent. A lot of them don't want to open up their books. They want to hog their business, and that's why they don't open it up for corporate governance. And that's why they slaughter the babies, and the babies die very early. Okay, and I will also want to say that the issue of corporate governance must not be left alone to the private sector.
Okay.
The gospel of corporate governance must be pushed into the public sector. We are hearing of several gates going on. It's because of lack of corporate governance in the public sector. All right, you can hear of Emefiele Gate. You can hear of in the recent one yesterday when the chairman of the Federal Charter Commission, was indicted by all, his commissioners, about, what we call, employment racketing and all that. It's lack of corporate governance, because corporate governance speaks so much about transparency. It speaks so much even about fairness, equity, mitigating corporate practices. So I want to say that more should be done. Right. Okay, not only in the private sector, but we should also extend it to the public sector, so that there will be accountability and there will be assured sustainability of organizations that we represent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olakanmi Amoo-Onidundu. We do appreciate you for joining us today on The Office. We hope to have you back soon to tell us more about corporate governance and any other topic that we might definitely need your expertise on. We do appreciate you. Do have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to be here. Bye.
I'm coming. Just